Fat people aren't fat because they're uneducated about nutrition.
Hello YouTube, and welcome to the Body Honesty Project. My name is Lydia, and today I have a very interesting fat logic TikTok for you. Now, I can't exactly call this fat acceptance because she doesn't use any of the hashtags and she actually does want to lose weight. But she still believes a lot of the same things that fat acceptance believes. The things about why she thinks people are fat and that it's impossible for someone who has been fat their whole life to lose weight. Now, I usually say that if your face is in the video, you are not my target audience, because the people that I usually feature are people that are too far gone. People like Tess Holliday, Virgie Tovar, Marissa Matthews, Hannah, Fat Sapphic Bro, all of them. They are too far gone. They are not the people I'm trying to convince of anything. But this woman I'm about to show, she actually is my target audience, because to me, this is someone that's flirting with fat acceptance, meaning that she actually does want to lose weight, but still willing to accept that it's her destiny to be heavy. She is not an angry TikToker, and I am giving her no hate whatsoever. However, the points that she makes need to be broken down and debunked, because she says a lot of things that just aren't true. So, without further ado, let's jump right on in.
Okay, I want to say something because I just had the craziest interaction with someone who was trying to conflate mask policies in schools with not teaching like health and nutrition because childhood obesity, And I got really upset. I mean, I get that this guy was like trying to make some weird point about hypocrisy and caring about kids' health or something. But number one, fat people aren't fat because they're uneducated about nutrition. Fat people throughout their lives are endlessly educated condescendingly at school and at home, and when they get dragged to a Weight Watchers meeting when they're 10, like endlessly educated about nutrition. By the time you're a 50-year-old fat person, like I'm going to be in for short years, you've had all the nutrition condescension you can stand. I'm a genetic duplicate of my grandmother, who was 300 pounds, died of colon cancer in her mid-50s, and she was 300 plus pounds. Colon cancer kind of makes people waste away a little bit, so that's kind of odd, don't you think, that she was 300 pounds? One may think it's because she was kind of destined to be her size, but I am literally her genetic duplicate, like pictures of me, pictures of her side by side. My dad was heavy. My mom was heavy late in life. My grandmother on my mom's side, also heavy later in life. Obesity just runs in my family. I was born to be heavy. Most heavy people were. And very few people will lose 100 pounds and keep it off for more than 5 years. If you're someone who has lost 100 pounds, has been heavy most of their life since childhood, I'm not talking about people who put it on when they were grown-ups. If you've lost 100 pounds and kept it off for 5 years, send me a message, because I want to talk to you about how you've done that. And if you were able to do it without steadily decreasing your calorie intake, like the Biggest Loser study suggests you would have to do. But regardless, I'm still hopeful that I'm going to find a solution for obesity for people who are 100 pounds or more overweight and have been heavy their whole lives. Bye.
There are so many discussion points in this one TikTok. So let's start with the first one, where according to her, she was interacting with someone that was
trying to conflate mask policies in schools with not teaching like health and nutrition because childhood obesity,
Now, I am not a political channel, so I will not be diving into any sort of mask debate here whatsoever. But if you want to throw in your comments, go ahead. I'm just going to steer clear of that. However, if we have learned absolutely nothing else throughout this entire global pandemic, we should clearly see how obesity impacts our immune system. Because the number of COVID deaths, long COVID, and COVID illnesses have affected the obese population way harder than people of normal weights. So educating our children about health and nutrition is vitally important. Because what's going to happen the next time there is a global pandemic? All the educated obese people won't get to see the fruits of their education because they won't have a life to live. If school can teach reading, writing, and arithmetic, why can we not also teach healthy living? Because what good is an educated brain in a body that can't live? I do see her point that the mask wearing and childhood obesity aren't exactly the same thing. But I was a little put off about how flip she was with, childhood obesity. But she should feel that way because childhood obesity is a big deal. And we're going to return to that at the end of this video. Then she said this.
Fat people aren't fat because they're uneducated about nutrition.
Which was followed by a rant that exemplified how undereducated she is in nutrition, health, and lifestyle. But I'm going to cut her a little bit of slack. She's about the same age as me. I think she's 2 years older than I am. And I'm going to assume that she went through a similar education system as I did, where all of the nutrition was based off of the food pyramid, our gym teacher shamed us, and all conversations about health and body weight were stigmatizing. But that's not the age we live in now. The current information about health and nutrition is not everybody eat 1,200 calories, is not starve yourself thin. It's gradual lifestyle modifications. And even if our education system isn't there yet in terms of how to teach children about a healthy lifestyle, I have faith that we can get there because we did it with learning disabilities. 30 years ago, when I was in elementary school, the kids that really struggled were just scolded more, had more detention, were told work harder without getting any assistance. And they were teased. I mean, the R word was a very, very common slur that was thrown around as a common insult to kids that struggled with school. But we fast forward 30 years, and how do we do this differently? Well, more and more kids are tested for learning disabilities. And whenever a learning disability is discovered, the teachers get an individual learning plan for that child to help them. Because with academics, the solution is neither to be scolded by your teacher to simply work harder the same way and not get anywhere. And it's also not to say, well, I guess you're just no good at math, so we shouldn't do it at all. The solution is to get the right help so that you can succeed at doing the task. So why can't we do this with health and nutrition? And along the same lines as academics, we do not need to be high achievers at everything. Health and lifestyle success doesn't mean that you have to be an elite athlete. No, you can just get a passing grade and have a healthy body. Not everybody can get a 90 in mathematics, but there's no reason why most people can't get the passing grade. Can we not all strive to get a passing grade for health? I also think that another reason why it's important to teach health and nutrition at school is to get the kids while they're young, so that it's not actually a lifestyle change because they haven't developed the bad habits yet. It's just teaching them how to live their lives the best. For many life skills, there is a sweet spot for learning how to do it. Little kids can pick up multiple languages all at once, whereas an adult learning a second language can be very, very difficult. I also find that people that learn to drive when they're between 16 to 20 are better drivers than people that learn to drive later in life. And every time I get into a car with someone who learned to drive like over 25, I can tell. Same goes with health and nutrition. I was raised eating healthy and being active. So it's much easier for me to stay eating healthy and being active because it's who I am and what I do. I don't need to change to be this person. This is how I was raised. So why don't we set up our kids this way so that they don't need to change later on in life? She also shared this.
I'm a genetic duplicate of my grandmother who was 300 pounds.
And why does she look like her grandma? Well, of course, her genetics make her look like her grandma. But why does she have a similar body to her grandma? Well, that's partially genetics, but not entirely. Most of that has to do with her lifestyle. not her genetics. Now, I'm not going to do a deep dive into this because I've said it many, many, many times, but here's the Coles notes. Your genes don't make you fat. Your genes dictate your hunger hormones, and your hunger hormones tell you to eat, but you have control over what you eat. And if you eat a lot of processed food, you're going to get more hunger hormones telling you to eat more, and fewer satiety hormones telling you that you are full. And then the cycle continues and continues and continues. So your genes might have started you off as someone who is a little hungrier than the average person, but you totally have control over what you eat. And if you choose the right foods, you can fight those hormones off. So the reason why she looks like her grandma is not just her genes. It's the lifestyle too. Then she added this bit of information about her grandma.
Died of colon cancer in her mid-50s, and she was 300 plus pounds.
Which she then went on to say how odd it was that someone of 300 pounds would pass of colon cancer, because usually people with colon cancer shrink. And then even kind of used it as proof that her grandma was destined to be 300 pounds. I don't think that she's aware that obesity increases your risk of developing colon cancer. Yes, weight loss is associated with colon cancer, but that usually happens pre-diagnosis. During treatment, it's very common to gain the weight back or even gain more weight than you were before due to excess fluid. So her being 300 pounds with colon cancer at the time that she passed really isn't all that odd. We also don't know how big she was when she started. Maybe she was 350 pounds, got colon cancer, withered down to 300 pounds, started treatment, and then maintained that weight until she passed. This story proves nothing about being destined to be 300 pounds. But for some reason, this TikToker still seems to think that being fat is her fate.
My dad was heavy. My mom was heavy late in life. My grandmother on my mom's side also heavy later in life. Obesity just runs in my family.
If everyone in your family is obese and everyone in your family follows the same lifestyle, then sure, it's your destiny to be obese. But you can change your destiny if you change your lifestyle. Furthermore, if I were her and so close to the age of her genetic duplicate grandmother who passed away in her mid-50s, wouldn't you be scared shitless? Because I sure would be. I've said this one before, and I'll say it again. Genetics loads the gun, but nutrition pulls the trigger. Then she said something very interesting to me. She commented on how losing weight is very difficult for a certain group of people that
has been heavy most of their life since childhood. I'm not talking about people who put it on when they were grown-ups.
And now we come full circle. She proved my point for me. At the beginning of the TikTok, she was poo-pooing childhood obesity. And now she's saying how people who have been heavy their entire lives struggle more with weight loss than those that put on weight later in life. And this is why we need to teach our children about health and nutrition. Can we not put 2 and 2 together? Is that too hard? If you have been struggling your whole life with obesity, maybe the way to make others not struggle their whole lives with obesity is to teach them how to eat and move when they're young. This is the point. Thank you for helping me prove it. Teach them young so that they don't have all the same struggles and maladies that you have later in life. And even if the kids do develop obesity later in life, they will not struggle as much to lose the weight because they have the healthy habits to fall back on. They don't have to learn new habits if we teach them young. Because it won't be a lifestyle change, it will be a revert to lifestyle. But where she is misinformed is that she doesn't think that it can happen for her too. So when she says this,
I was born to be heavy. Most heavy people were, and very few people will lose 100 pounds and keep it off for more than 5 years.
I want to tell her that it's possible. She just needs to find the right help. She needs to find an obesity doctor that will help her properly through losing weight. Not a health at every size doctor that will talk her out of it, but an obesity doctor that can actually help her. Now, I think that the discussion about childhood obesity is going to get really, really heated in the next few months because the American Pediatric Association published their new guidelines, and to many people, they are quite aggressive. And this is how some people are interpreting it.
Well, now we're going to start them off at 2 years old, and we're going to do all the same things, but like more intense. Cool. And like, what are people's reservations about that? Well, fat people are going to be bullied anywhere they go, and a lot of times bullied by their own family. Oh, so like, what's the solution there? We want to bring the whole family in and get them to start bullying them young. What?
Now, I really want to do a deep dive into this publication, but I'm not going to do it now because this publication is so new that I would rather sit back and wait for all the fat activists to react and make their bogus TikToks so that I have something to comment on. Because I think it will be far more entertaining for you to see how the fat activists react to this and have me dismantle it, rather than just tell you what's in the publication. So until next time, stay body positive, but also body honest.